Hello. So I just wanted to do a little video um, to share kind of my experience from the last 2 weeks because it was pretty intense and pretty life-changing to some extent for me. Yeah, and I just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people are interested in fasting. So I fasted for 7 days. Um, Including 7 fasting days and one pre-cleanse day, and then 1 week now of like reintegrating foods back into my diet. um, and the reason why I did the fast was that, basically, as a little background, I've been dealing with some gut issues for a while now. I think it all started around 4 years ago when I actually took like a bunch of antibiotics and corticosteroids, which totally messed up my system. And I didn't, I had like a IBS and like just disbalance of bacteria in my gut, which was tested before I came to Thailand. And I tried to fix it, before I went, but it didn't really work. So when I was here, of course, getting used to the different bacteria and stuff like that, it was just really bad, and I was getting all these like pain and bloatiness and all kinds of symptoms. Feeling really like brain fog and weak and just fatigued all the time and stuff like that. So I came to Koh Phangan, actually this island in Thailand, because a friend was here, and I heard that there's potentially my kind of community, my kind of people here, around dancing and stuff like that. So I didn't know that Koh Phangan is such a healing island. It's totally centered around transformation and healing ultimately, and there's a bunch of healing centers, and it's really focused around fasting. So I was terrified before I did this because I'm already very skinny, and I was terrified that I was going to lose so much weight that I would look really horrible, that I would feel really weak, stuff like that. So I researched like crazy before I did it. I just really informed myself as much as I could. I also had a human design session, which was also super interesting to kind of, I guess it kind of helped for me to understand myself more, of who I am as a person, and finding more acceptance in that's how I am, and I don't have to be anything else. I don't have to compare myself with other people because other people are different, and it helped in this decision making in general, like how I should basically go through life making decisions and stuff like that, to be in the most flow of who I am. So doing the human design actually helped me to just push through my fear of doing this fast, which I've never done before. I've never fasted longer than, I think, 24 hours. So I did it. I did it supervised by one of the healing centers, and 7 fasting days and 1 pre-cleanse day. And there's a bunch of stuff included, like we had daily group meetings, which was really helpful. You were supervised. You could check in every day. Okay, should we adapt something in what you're taking and stuff like that? We had to take like daily, 5 times a day, like supplements and these detox drinks made of bentonite clay and psyllium husks, and had to do 2 kolemas a day, which are basically water up your colon, like flushes. Also, like, just anything to relax you, like sauna, Reiki, for the emotional process, massages, And then besides water and tea, I basically consumed occasional coconuts and broth a day and a green juice a day. And whoa, yeah, I mean, the process was like intense. Every day, I feel like every day I went through like 20 different stages and ups and downs and emotional states and body feelings and stuff like that. Yeah, the first dilemma that I had was like, I was so terrified. I was like crying like crazy beforehand and also afterwards, just like, because it just felt so almost like non-consensual, sticking this thing up my bum because I really didn't want to do it, but you know, in the end it really was not that bad, and it really helped me to it helps you to kind of like neutralize your emotions as well and flush your toxins quicker out of your body so that you don't like re-toxify yourself. And at the end I kind of actually, you know, liked them and had even like very spiritual kind of meditations, because I put on like meditation music or certain, you know, music to kind of really go deeper into my body process of being really aware of what's going on in my body. My symptoms got partially worse throughout the process and partially better. It was really just like ups and downs. I had partially like massive waves of nausea and bloating, pain, felt really weak, like almost like being sick, like after being sick for a long time or something like that, you know, and your body's like kind of weakened. At the beginning, of course, I had like crazy hunger and couldn't look at food. I was just like, oh no. You know, like I had to like pee loads at night because so I didn't sleep super well, because you just consume so many liquids. And you know, at the end I started really like slowing down. At the end I was really like moving around like a sloth, like just the pace that I was walking was just insanely slow. And day 6 and 7 I kind of arrived at like a very kind of peaceful, very peaceful state of, I didn't have hunger, I didn't have really appetite. Actually, kind of like the look of food kind of almost disgusted me. It was a bit like, ugh, no. And yeah, day 7, I'm really glad that I actually wanted to only do 5 days, and then I extended to 7 days, because I felt okay. And I'm really glad that I did, because it takes like the first couple of days, it takes your body to actually understand like you're not getting any food and going into autophagy, or like ketosis basically, and then you only really reap the benefits in the last couple of days. So on the 7th day I felt really peaceful and really good and really like I mean excited kind of for the next stage of also going back, reintegrating foods and stuff like that. So that was kind of the body process. But what actually was way more interesting for me was what happened in my mind, and my kind of emotional process throughout, because the gut and the brain is like, I mean, it's like one, you know, it's super linked. And fasting really actually is, it's not just a body process, it's really a body-mind process, where you're like almost like purging emotions, and because your body's becoming so, you become so aware and so in your body that you just allow these emotions to come up much easier. So I just want to share some of my like key learnings that I took away from this, and You know, I don't think any of it will really shock you, because it's yeah, it's just life learnings in general. But it was really, really still super important for me to kind of do this, to really physically feel some of these concepts that I've been meditating on for, like, you know, years and stuff like that, to really starting to embody them. That's actually the key. I really felt like that I've reached like a new level of awareness that I don't think I've ever reached in my life before. All my senses were really heightened. I just became super aware of, you know, I could hear things better, I could see things, smell things better. I became very, very aware of the energies around me, of people. I became very, very aware of my body sensations and really like subtle body signals. Just became more aware of my needs, my boundaries, my feelings, my thoughts, old belief patterns. A lot of old belief patterns came up that I could then question safely in that space, you know. My focus really went inwards. The more time progressed, I was really starting to be more like becoming very aware of my inward process. It almost felt a bit like I was walking through a dream or something. It was very dream-like. And one of the biggest things that I noticed actually was my thoughts, of how we inherently have a negative bias. So it's a very human thing actually, because it was really helpful for our ancestors to basically have this caution or vigilance, because it actually made them survive. So it meant survival back then. And of course now, you know, most of us don't really need that anymore, because we survive anyways. And it's more of a hindrance now, because you just automatically think of the negative thing first. I'm sure not everybody, but I think a lot of people. And so the key learning really is to just become super aware of these thoughts, and the more focus you put inwards, actually, the more you can actually notice them and then catch them and question them, like, is that really so? And then it's really a choice that you can then focus on the positive thought. So you just think, okay, this is the negative thought. Okay, well, what's the opposite of that? Or can I disprove that in some way? And mostly you'll find something that you're like, oh, actually, I could also see it this way. I could also see, like, you know, oh, I dropped this, but, or, you know, one time I dropped the the water thingy on the toilet, and it just sprayed everywhere. It got caught and it just sprayed everywhere. And my initial reaction was just like, oh, god damn it, you know, like, great, everything got wet. But then I noticed that my phone and my headphones, that were like the electronics that were lying in the room, didn't get wet, as like the only thing. And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess I could also see it that way, you know, like, oh, yay, awesome, but they didn't get wet. Yeah, so just I don't think you'll ever get really rid of your negative emotions, or sorry, negative thoughts. But what you can do is balance out this kind of negative thinking with really just blasting yourself with positive thinking, which is, I think, the reason why affirmations, you know, doing affirmations is becoming such a thing nowadays with meditation and stuff like that. It's just to balance out the negative bias that we have, with trying to just see it differently. And really the brain works with repetition, so the more you repeat something, the more you'll actually start believing it, and the more the more it'll go into your subconscious brain and learn that way. That's how your brain works. Of course, you also have to tap into your emotions, so only doing affirmations is not going to work. You have to actually also allow what emotions are there to release, to come up, and to acknowledge them. Okay, anyways, more key learnings. I realized that I'm actually incredibly intuitive in healing myself, especially, of course, around what I feed myself, like in really like critical moments, both my body, of course, like liquids, foods, and stuff like that, massages, but also my mind of, you know, playing certain musics or doing like little games. Like, for example, one of the days I was just so grumpy. I was like, I was in such a bad mood. I was really depressed and sad, and I'd like just couldn't get out of it. And so I started playing automatically. I was like, okay, maybe I should just play a little game with myself of everything that I see now in my vision, to just basically name something that I love about it. And this is actually a practice that my sister actually kind of taught me or told me about humans, though. And it's actually it's also a Buddhist tradition, I think, to basically find something that you love about every person, especially the people that you don't like, you know, because you'll most likely always find something that you love. And so I started playing that with just objects in my vision, because some of the things I could notice that I didn't like that much, like visually, like some trees that looked a bit scraggly and stuff, I was just like, okay, I love that those trees are giving oxygen and shade and regulating our temperature and climate. You know, that flag, I love the colors of that flag. I also love how it's like moving in the wind. It's actually reminding me of sailing. So then it just started becoming like I even just had to start smiling and laughing, because partially it was like just so funny, you know, looking at a metal thing and being like, wow, I love that metal thing looks like a massive toilet brush, you know. And that really helped. So anyways, fun little game that I invented. Another takeaway that I had was that I think life did not intend life to be taken serious. And I think once I realized during the fasting that I'm not going to die, that I'm going to survive, I'm not going to get, you know, I'm going to lose a couple kilos, but I'm not going to die. Once I kind of realized that, I could really laugh about, you know, myself and about things that were happening, and just taking everything a bit with a grain of salt, and just not taking it so serious of it's threatening me in some way, you know. Like one thought that I had, for example, was, it was just so funny, partially what I was journaling. I was journaling every day, of course, and definitely recommend doing that during a fast, because it's so interesting actually going back and reading that, and it helps you sort your thoughts. Journaling in general, but for sure during a fast. And I just had this thought that, like, God, maybe I should get a diaper for, like, after these colon flushes, because sometimes the water still comes out without me, like, wanting it to. Funny stuff. Another small takeaway, of course, is just how beautiful and important it is to just appreciate the small things in life. Like, I became really appreciative of, like, the wind, the sun, when the sun was shining, a flower that really made my day. Just the smell of the flower and just looking at it visually was, like, color-wise fitting to my outfit, and I just was so grateful for that, you know. Yeah, another big takeaway, of course, is movement. Movement is super important, especially, of course, during fasting. You're really supposed to actually just stay in motion. But in general in life, you know, we all do computer jobs, or a lot of us. And that's just, you got to balance that out. You know, you got to keep your body fluids going in your body. It's really healthy to move. And it can be really fun too, dancing, for example, or doing some movement that actually brings you joy. One of the days I felt energized enough to actually go to the beach, and I went for a long walk on one of the biggest beaches there. And I had my kimono on, and it was really windy, and I was just dancing with the kimono in the wind, and just the way it was touching my skin, the material and stuff like that was just so fun. And yeah, really nice movement. And you know, also with movement, and going into another takeaway of like emotions, around emotions, I mean, emotions are literally energy in motion. Emotions are energy in your body, and they should be moving through your body. They should be allowed to be felt, observed, acknowledged, and then released through your body. And so movement can actually really help with that, because ultimately, you know, what we learn societally is to suppress these emotions. You know, you're not allowed to be angry, you're not allowed to cry or be weak or show weakness or vulnerability or guilt or shame or whatever. Basically, because we suppress then the emotions, mostly it's around, stored in our hips and our gut area, and it travels to the back also, mostly lower back. It then expresses itself through pain. On one of the days I had a Chinetsang massage. It's like an energetic massage that moves your chi, like opens up the energetic channels in your body. And it's very also centered around massaging the gut area, because that's where we store a lot of our emotions. And wow, yeah, I had like a really big emotional release from grief, actually, that I was storing there, from past memories. That, like, one of them, for example, was my dog that was poisoned when she was 13, when I was 13 years old. So I was pretty young, and I just did not know how to process my grief back then. She really was like, you know, my best friend at the time. So yeah, just that memory, just like, whoa, I had to cry, like sob. So really, if you know, the takeaways, if you want to release old emotions and pains in your body, the best way is to go through the body, like doing embodiment practices, movement practices, and instead of focusing on pain in our body, we should really be focusing on allowing ourselves to feel the emotions in the first place. So really acknowledging it and being like, okay, I feel angry right now, that's totally fine. And you can, you know, of course, question why are you feeling angry, what is it triggering. Triggers are really not bad. They are just signs that we've had some trauma in the past, or that we've had some, you know, difficult things that we haven't processed, really. So yeah, I think that's big takeaways also. Oh, another really big takeaway that I had was basically, I noticed on the third day I was actually feeling really good and really happy, and I felt a resistance to that happiness. And that was really like, whoa, like this is like this old belief that I have of, if others are suffering in the world, then I need to suffer with them. Like, I'm not allowed to be happy if others are suffering, basically. And this belief that basically there is no energy, no purpose, no meaning, no depth in happiness. Happiness is basically boring, and there's nothing to learn there. So that's a really, really deep belief that I have been holding for a while, because, you know, of my whole process of being, you know, empathic and wanting to like save the world and stuff like that, and save animals. But really, you know, of course, I've been in the process of like allowing myself to feel negative emotions more and more, you know, over the last years. But what I realized, of course, is also all feelings are important to accept and to feel, including happiness. So I'm allowed to feel happy also most of the time. And I can actually give back to the world much better when I'm happy and in a loving and healthy place than when I'm suffering. So that's a big, big, big takeaway for me, of feeling that resistance to feeling happy during the fast. Having this, you know, expectation that it has to be, just a hard process the whole time. Yeah. So I'm still working on that one, but it was really good to, you know, to feel that. Another big takeaway, of course, is like making mistakes is good. It's really important, actually. It allows us to, you know, actually learn, and you never know what good actually comes out of a mistake. Like, you don't know if it would have been better the other way or not, you know? Like, even just using, you know, the language of like mistake and good and bad is like, sure, it helps us in society to cope with things and to, you know, but really, just in nature, it is what it is. You know, nature doesn't have good and bad. It just is. And you'll learn and you'll grow from it, ultimately. An example is that I had a carrot juice on the third day, and there was a small gut feeling inside of me, that very subtle feeling that was like, I don't know about that, you know? But then I just drank it. I was like, whatever, and it just tasted amazing. And afterwards, my body was just like a war zone. There was really like extreme war going on in my body as well as my mind, because I was so angry and disappointed with myself that I drank this juice, even though I, you know, had this little gut instinct that I shouldn't. And I was really like, okay, I just totally ruined my whole fasting thing. You know, I'm feeding the bad bacteria. They were like shouting at me, you know, like just these heavy sugar cravings of like feed me more. And yeah, it was intense. I thank God I had like some oregano drops, which the bitterness actually helps with sugar cravings, to like kill that in your mouth, especially in your mouth. It's important to have like the receptors basically communicate that to your body. So that helped, but it was hardcore, and I was so upset with myself. And ultimately, the next morning, I woke up feeling super accepting, and I was like, you know, maybe it was a good thing. Maybe, you know, because bad bacteria and parasites, they have like these little hooks also, and they can, they just go into hibernation in their little like biofilm houses in your gut lining. And so maybe the sugar actually got the remaining ones out of there, and like, you know, so that they could then also be flushed out with all the supplements I was taking. So maybe it was a good thing. I don't know, you know. Yeah, and that brings me to my next really big key learning. Probably the biggest one, which is acceptance. Acceptance is basically the key to a happy life. The less expectations we have, the less attachment we have, the more that we accept what just is, the less we suffer ultimately. And I really mean accepting everything, accepting the pain, you know, your body pains, accepting the negative feelings that come up, accepting the positive feelings, accepting your limitations, and circumstances. Like, for example, I really I feel like life just wanted to, you know, test me and just throw everything at me during the fast. I both got my period on the 5th day, which I was like, my initial reaction was terror, like absolute terror, panic, because of course I couldn't take any pain meds. I, you know, couldn't take even magnesium or anything to help with the pain, which I mostly get really strong on the first day or two. And yeah, thank God I was in such an accepting state. You know, I was just like, it'll be fine. And I really had no pain. Because I wasn't resisting it, I was just accepting it. Yeah, that's the thing, there's no resistance. You're not resisting to things. And that actually, I've heard also, helps women with period pains also. So the less you are resisting, or the more you are resisting before you get your period, the more pain potentially you can have. So I had like no pain, basically, which was totally new to me during my period then. And also the next day, they started building a house, like a construction site right next to my house, like literally just right next to it. And I was so happy that I had found such a nice place, and I was really happy there. So just in the moment, I was just like, okay, I accept that I feel disappointed and angry and frustrated, and I also accept that, you know, this is the circumstance, they're building that. And I also accept my own limitations of, I need a safe space and a quiet space, especially right now. So just accepting all of it, and just accepting that I'll have to move as soon as possible, basically. Yeah. I also had like a really, really powerful, mindful kind of body scan meditation that I did on that day when I started feeling super accepting of everything. Where I really went into my body and I just scanned my body and was kind of having a conversation with my body, like, okay, show me where the pain is. Then going there, maybe putting my hand there or whatever, and just accepting it, like really just acknowledging that I hear you, I see you, I see the pain, I feel the pain. Does it mean something, you know, or what is it? Sometimes it shifted. Sometimes some thoughts came up that maybe it was connected to, or some feelings, some other like emotions that were coming up, and I just went in with the intention of not changing it, like not wanting to make it go away. I was really like, I accept you. I accept the pain, and you don't have to change. No need to go away. You can just stay right there. And actually, with that intention, and with this like deep feeling of acceptance of where my body's at right now, the pain went away. Like literally, I had no pains after that, and there was like pain in my knee and my lower back and, you know, stuff like that, and it was gone after that. So to really feel that, I mean, I've had this concept of like, you know, yeah, body scans, so, you know, you just gotta accept it, yes, I accept you, but with the intention to like, for it to go away, that never worked. You know, so now knowing that really just acceptance really means accepting that it's there and that it's not going to go away. And then it does. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, in general, I've really just like experienced like a new level of like, I was so tuned in with my body. I was so aware of my body and just really experienced like a new level of like love and like acceptance and appreciation for myself and for my body. You know, I had this old belief also about, and this fear of being too skinny, and really this belief of like, if I'm too skinny, then I'm not a real woman, or like people will reject me if I'm too skinny, basically, because that's actually what happened in the past. When I was younger, I grew too fast, and then I was like really skinny, and I looked very skinny, in fairness. But people were saying a lot of mean things to me back then, and yeah, I couldn't believe that that was still such a, it was like really such a big thing still for me, that even going into this fast, I was so worried about losing weight. And I lost 4 kilos, and I was already weighing 51, so I lost 4 kilos, and I was like, whoa. And at the same time, I had many moments without the validation of others, where I just felt so yeah, like even like just super comfortable in my body, like sexy, beautiful, you know, feminine, like balanced. I really felt so good in my skinny body, and had just so much love and appreciation for my body being so healthy, and like just appreciating that every cell in my body wants to be healthy. Like every cell in my body is just doing its best all the time to keep me healthy, and just being so appreciative that you know, that I have this healthy body ultimately. And the only thing that's really making me sick is like stress and, you know, my own stuff in my head and stuff like that, you know, and like not listening to what I actually need and want to do. So yeah, I just really learned a big lesson of like being more loving and kind to my body and my mind. And of course at the end I was really treating it like a baby, like a little baby, you know, like, I mean, just, you know, stroking and just being very mindful with myself and what I need. Yeah, so ultimately I'm really proud that I did it, that I, you know, had the courage to kind of push through my fears, despite my own doubts and fears, and other people, of course, around me worrying, also about the, you know, me being so skinny thing. And what's more important, of course, even is after the fast. So how you break the fast, what you eat, how you integrate foods again, that you go slow, that you basically, you really have to go treat yourself like a baby, like you're starting to eat like a baby again. You know, no solids, and then you start slowly, very slowly. No spices, just veg, and then, you know, eventually like rice and quinoa and stuff like that. And the first couple days, I felt pretty bad still. I felt like pretty weak, especially in the morning. I just felt like a zombie walking around, like super slow, very just low energy. Yeah, of course, I'm also not eating sugar right now because of the candida. So I'm continuing in my process. It's still going to be a process. Of course, you can't just heal yourself in 1 week, but it definitely gives my body a head start to having kicked out a lot of old stuff. And I mean, fasting is fascinating. Like what your body goes into, yeah, is really like powerful. Like your body has incredible self-healing capacities if you just let it do its thing, basically, for a while. I mean, all the way to like stem cells being, you know, cells being recycled and renewed, and, you know, I mean, it's incredible. Like you get younger, you get younger through this, for sure. And yeah, I feel good in general. I feel much more energized. kind of the brain fog has gone. Now it's been like over a week, just a week. And yeah, my energy has come back. I'm, you know, slowly integrating. It's really like, it's the biggest exercise in patience for me ever with my body, and just the process of reintegrating things really slowly again. But I'm just ultimately super grateful that I had this experience, and yeah, I think it's going to continue being a mindful conversation that I have with my body and my mind, you know. It's definitely made me way more aware of things, and especially also experience them in my body, like embody some of these theoretical concepts that I've been, you know, meditating on and thinking about for a year or two, or, you know, for a while. So yeah, just having them sink in was really powerful. And yeah, that was my experience with fasting. And my health is going to continue being like a trial and error thing. I'm slowly regaining weight again. I'm slowly integrating foods again. I'm discovering food on a totally new level, of course. You know, the more restricted we are in something, it can actually help you feel more creative, because you're like, okay, I'm so limited in what I can eat, for example, that then you start discovering new ingredients that you've never tried before. Or yeah, it's nice. It actually gives more space for creativity also. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed this little story, and sending lots of love and light your way.